Hey guys, just a little review or guided practice before you get to work on your assignment. I want to make sure you have these things under control before you go ahead and do a few more here on your own. So I'm making this quick video here to make sure that you have the key ideas and to make sure that you know what you're doing before you go and practice on your own. So quick guided practice, you're going to be answering some questions in this video. So please be honest in your answers. It's sort of a check to make sure that you know what's happening. So here's our first one we want to look at. Find the slope of the line. Is it rising, falling, vertical, or horizontal? So first, let's go ahead and think about how we calculate the slope. So the slope is done using that slope formula. The slope formula, again, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we'll go ahead and label these points. This is an xy. This is an xy. These guys are in the first point. These guys are in the second point, and we'll go ahead and plug those values into that slope formula. So -5 minus -3, because that's the y from the first point, over x2 would be -7 minus x1 would be 5. And if we calculate this slope now, be careful, when you subtract a negative, it's like adding here. We get -2 over -12. Two negatives will make a positive, so we have 2 over 12, which simplifies to make 1/6. So using this slope, guys, now we need to answer, is it rising, falling, vertical, or horizontal? Because the slope is positive, we would say that this is a rising line. It is increasing because the slope is positive. If it's negative, then it falls. It's vertical, think about vertical, when your slope is undefined. And it's horizontal when you have a zero slope. So think about those things when you're answering those questions. Let's look at another example. Are the lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So again, we're going to rely on our slope formula here. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'll place the x and y labels here to help us out. 1, 1, 2, 2. And now I'm going to go ahead and plug in those values. -7 minus 5 over x2 is a 2. Subtract y, or x1, sorry, is -6. Now notice I'm subtracting a negative, so again, that turns to addition. We have -12 over 8. Now we need to simplify that, guys. Make sure you're always simplifying. We can divide both the top and the bottom by 4, so it becomes -3 over 2. That's the slope of the first line. It's a falling line. It's going down because it has a negative slope. Now let's look at the second line here. Same idea. xy, xy. 1, 1, 2, 2. Y from the second point is 1, minus y from the first point is 3. X from the second point is 6, minus x from the first point is 2. So if I calculate this now, I have -2 on the top, 6 minus 2 is 4. I have -1/2 if I were to simplify that slope. Now, are these two slopes equal? Are they the same? No. Are they opposite reciprocals? No. Because they're not the same like parallel lines or opposite reciprocal like perpendicular lines, we would say that these two lines don't have either relationship. So they're neither here. They're neither parallel nor perpendicular. So be watching for that today. You need to look for those specific relationships. And then if it doesn't happen, feel free to put neither. And last but not least, can you graph a line? So graphing a line, remember, means that you look at the y equals mx plus b, the equation of the line. And we always need to make sure the y is by himself. If it's not, you have to solve for the y to get him alone. If he is by himself, then the b will be the plane number, and then the m will be the slope that's in front of the x. So in this equation that you see here, the b is -6, and the m is the number in front of the x, which is 1. So I will start with the B, the beginning. You always start there. And that is a y-intercept now. So we always put our first dot on the y-axis, never on the x-axis, okay? Always on the y. So that -6 is my first mark. Now my slope is 1. We like slope as a fraction because it's a rise over run. So we'll go up 1 over 1 for that slope. So up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. You can do it a few times if you want to make sure you have a straight line here. This is a graph of that y equals x minus 6. Now, one more that can be kind of tricky that I wanted to be sure I showed you is what happens when you just have y equals 4. Well, again, it's the y equals mx plus b form. It's just that you're missing the x, right? There's no mx. This means that your slope is 0. So this is the b, the y-intercept. So we'll go ahead and place that at 4. And if my slope is 0, that means it's a horizontal line like this. This is the line y equals 4. Now, what do you suppose a line would look like if it was x equals 2, let's say? If I had to graph that line, you guys, that means I would go to the x-axis, put a dot at 2, and then draw a vertical line there, up and down like so. This is the line x equals 2. So when y equals by himself, that's a horizontal line. When it's x equals, it's a vertical line through the x-axis. Those are a few tricky things that tend to come up when we're graphing lines. I want to thank you for watching this little tutorial, and you should be set to master your graphing of lines. Thank you.